in HTML5, like canvas, geolocation, one more feature was introduced: drag and drop. Okay, so drag and drop is very important from the UI perspective, user experience. So if you want to delete something, instead of right click delete, if you could simply drag and drop onto the trash box, it will look better. So UI is always important. So we'll see how we can also implement drag and drop. Now, so for drag and drop, first thing is the source object, which I have to drag, and second one will be the receiving field, which will receive that drop. So like in our case, one file is a source object and trash box is the receiving object, which will receive the drag. So let us first create our, suppose I want to drag one image. So I will use image and some ID equal to image, and source equal to image/cdac.png, and width equal to, suppose I set it to 100 pixel. And then there are two things. Okay, first let me finish it here, and second I will create a div ID equal to, suppose, div one div. Done. So I have an image which I will drop onto this div. So this is our aim. So I have an image, I have to drop it on the div. So let us set some style sheet so that it looks good. So for the div, width 100 pixel, I will keep it same as image, so that the receiving end is also of the same height and width. So width equal to 100 pixel. I will set a border. So border equal to 1 pixel, solid gray. Then float left. Let us see how does this look like. So localhost drag and drop .html. Okay, so div width is set, but height also need to be set so that it looks. So height also I will set it to, suppose, 100 pixel itself. So now I have a div and some margin. Margin, suppose 10 pixel. Now let us see the look. So I have an image and this is a div. So I will drag this image and drop here. Currently, if I'm trying to drag and drop, nothing is happening. Or let me show you in Safari. So if I'm dragging, it is going there, but if I'm dropping, nothing is happening. So currently drag and drop is not working. Now let us implement the drag and drop. So first step is, for the element, I have to declare an attribute draggable. So draggable equal to true. So draggable defines that this element can be dragged. So draggable, true. Next one is on drag start. This is an event. So once the dragging start, what has to be done? So we'll just declare a function drag and event. So once the drag start, what has to be done? we will define in the drag event function. This is done. Now next part is the receiving one. So receiving, what I will do is on drop. So it will be dropped, then he has to display the image which will be dropped on it. So I will use a event drop event. So on drop it will be done, and on drag over. So once drag is over, what has to be done? So once on drag over, I will call a function allow drop. So I added four things basically. One was that I have to set the attribute draggable equal to true for the image, so that image is draggable. Second thing is, once the dragging start, what has to be done? So that I will write inside drag event. Now on the receiving part, once the drag is over, on drag over, what has to be done? So I have to allow the drop. For that I have written one function allow drop. And once image has been dropped, what has to be done? So for that on drop, and there is a drop function. Now these all functions, drop, allow drop, or drag, these are user defined. It's not ready-made functions or a standard functions. These are user defined functions. So I will have to write the task which has to be done on these functions. So we will start with function allow drop and event. For event I am using the shorthand notation. So ev dot prevent drop, prevent default. Okay, now suppose this is one page, and I have a photo. I have a photo. If I try to drop this, what will happen by default? It will open. Is it okay? So by default, if I drop anything on a web page, which is an image, it will try to open the image. But I don't want that to happen. So that's why I have written that once the drop happens, you have to prevent the default action. The default action should not happen. Is it clear why it is written dot prevent default? So by default, if I drop, image will be displayed. So I don't want that to happen. So that's why I have used prevent default. Next function I will write function drag. So once the drag start, what has to be done? So once the drag happens, I have to transfer the image from the source to the destination. So in the starting, only I have to set the transfer. So ev dot data transfer dot set data. So for the transfer, I am setting the data. So what data I have to set? So ev dot target dot id. So this event, if you see drag event, who has started it? The image has started it. So I am passing the image id as the source, and the type of the data is image slash png, because I am using a png image. So this is done. So once the drag starts, I am setting that data which is in transfer. And what data is? It's a png image targeted by this image tag. Next, and the last one, function drop. So once it drops, I will use the prevent drop default. And second one is where data, I will get the data which is coming from the drag event. So ev dot data transfer dot get data. And what is the data? Image slash png data. Done. And finally, I will append this image to the target. So target dot append child, and the child is document dot get element by id. And what is the id? It is in div data. In fact, let me change it text, because I'm not sending image, I'm only sending the id. So once I get the id, I will use document.getElement by id, and that image I will append to the event target. So who is the event target? So drop function is written on div1, so he is the event target. So in this div1, that photo will be appended as a child. That image will be appended as a child. Okay, so let me repeat it. So there are two things. One is the image which is to be dragged, and one is the div which will receive the drop. Okay, so for that there are we have to declare for the image, I have to declare draggable equal to true, means this image can be dragged. And then I will have to, on the starting of the drag, I will have to set up the drag function. And in the drag function, I am simply passing the ID of this image, or basically the target, which has to be dragged. So I'm passing the target ID ev.target.id, which is image, and I am sending the instead of full image, I am sending only the ID. So I have used it used data type as text. Now second one is the div. On drag over, it is allowing the drop, and then once the drop happens, it is getting that ID of the source image and setting the child of the div, that image as the child of that div. So this is done. Okay, data is a variable, so I should not write it into double quote. Okay, so just a minute. Oh, finally. So so in this way I can drag image from one to another. Now let me show you another thing. So how can I show it in a real scenario? Div1. For div1, I will set the background image, which I was saying, background image URL, and URL I will set image slash trash.png. Okay, so the one example I was saying that I can drop a file or anything onto a trash and it will be deleted. So for that I am setting the div1's background image as trash.png. Oops. So I will have to set background size equal to contain, so that it is comes fully on the screen. Okay, so trace is there, and now once I drop on it, so it will be deleted, but currently it is not being shown deleted. So so for that I can give some message on drop, like alert, and then alert image deleted, and I can also remove the image by document dot get element by id, and in that I will pass data dot remove function. So on the drop, what I am doing is I am removing that element and giving a message alert image deleted. So once I click on this drop, I will get a message image deleted, and that item will be removed. So this is one use case of drag and drop. Similarly, drag and drop can also be used for setting image. So if you have, like, from desktop, I can select an image and drop it here. So the image will appear here on that screen. So these are a few of the use cases. Now what next? So today we covered some advanced topic in HTML5. So like we covered geolocation, then we covered canvas. Using canvas, we tried to create a circle or arc, and then we also we also tried to get a snap or a screenshot from a running video. Then then we learned about this drag and drop facility, where one draggable object can be dropped onto another HTML element, like in our case div. And there may be use cases like using the trash to delete any file.